What's up? Welcome back in. We are on day 30 of our 45 days of mock drafts, and I got a pretty special one here. The FanTC group has recently joined the Fantasy Football Discussions Facebook group. So if you came here from there, thanks for showing up. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure to follow along. Check us out on social media as well, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We got all of it going all the time. But basically, I asked a question in there saying, what kind of fantasy content do you think is being missed? Where can we maybe make our mark? And I got multiple comments saying that they wanted to see some SUPERFLEX mock drafts. A lot of SUPERFLEX is related to Dynasty, so obviously that's a whole different ballgame. So this is just going to be a complete redraft, SUPERFLEX. I think I have it set up as two quarterback, but you guys get the picture. We're going to be looking to get two starting quarterbacks on our roster and see what we can do, how we can build our team. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're going to be going fantasy content strong all season long. We also have short form content, YouTube Short, Instagram Reels, TikToks. Make sure to check out those. Everything is linked down below. We appreciate that. The next thing is we're going to do 3 mock drafts in this one video. So I will timestamp them at the bottom so that way you know when the next mock draft will be starting. But basically, I want to do 3 SUPERFLEX drafts from 3 spots in the draft. We're going to do one here, the first one at the 3 spot. Do the second one at either 7 or 8. So that way you have to decide, do I want to go like Trevor Lawrence or a positional player? And then we'll go probably like 11 where the top tier quarterbacks are off the board. And we kind of got to figure out how comfortable we are with basically the lower tier of quarterbacks. How can we build a strong enough roster to compete with them? So we are going to jump in here to the first one. And let's just get it started. Basically, I took 3 because for me, Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts are 1, 2, and 3 in whatever order they want to get drafted in. So I'm perfectly fine taking Josh Allen in the 3 hole. And I actually had to preface this before I started. Superflex is very team and league specific. If you have to know your league mates, you have to know your league. If your league is not going to draft quarterbacks early, like I play in one where quarterbacks aren't like the biggest priority. People kind of, they do get drafted earlier than they do in regular, obviously, but it's not like this where 7 of the first 8 picks are all quarterbacks and there's 8 quarterbacks taken in the first round. That's not how my league's going to work. So it's important to know that so that way you can build your roster around your league. If your league is going to rip quarterbacks off like that, then this video is going to be great for you because you're going to get a good idea of what it'll look like. So first thing here, let's go to all. Okay, so for me, especially because I know I'm going to get a wide receiver probably on the next turn, I'm avoiding quarterback here. If I have one of, I would say, the top 5 that we're taking here, and I'll even include Justin Fields and Joe Burrow in that conversation, I really don't feel the need to hurry up and grab a second quarterback. I can build out my roster and end up with someone that's a little less talented at the end because Josh Allen is going to be able to carry that position for me. So for me here, and if you've watched any of the FanTC content, both Nick and myself are extremely high on Nick Chubb this season. I think Nick Chubb could be the overall RB1. If he gets any kind of passing workload in Cleveland, it's going to be insane. And then from at this point, it was pretty much who's going to fall. Amon-Ra St. Brown was who I was hoping to get. I'm very high on him this year, especially in any kind of PPR format. I think he's going to be a monster. He did not, but we still got Garrett Wilson. We still have Tony Pollard, who's an interesting pick. I like Tony Pollard, but I'm going to go Garrett Wilson, just keep a balanced build so far and see where we get, see who ends up coming back around to us. So I'm sure, say, Deshaun, Tua are going to be gone. So, now we're already starting to get into that streaming tier of quarterback, and we're going into round 4. So for me, I'm okay. I'm not going to spend a round 4 pick with all this talent on the board on a Geno Smith and Aaron Rodgers or Daniel Jones. I will wait for the lower tier of a Jared Goff or someone like that, especially when I have Josh Allen. So right here, again, it's total preference on who you want as a player. Me, I'm extremely high on Calvin Ridley. I've bought into the hype. That may come back to bite me. I'm probably going to draft a lot of them, so it probably will. But I'm going to take him here. Calvin Ridley pretty easily for me is my favorite wide receiver left on the board. Loops back around. Amari Cooper's a great pick. I think he's going too low in drafts for how good he is. But for me, Joe Mixon slipping down here to the 5th is egregious. We're looking at a guy who's going to potentially get 300-plus opportunities on a great offense. I know his touchdowns have been sporadic and not what you want out of a top running back, but he shouldn't be going this low. He should be closer to the Ramondre Stevensons, Tony Pollards, those kind of running backs, as opposed to falling into, even Aaron Jones, I would actually say is right there with Joe Mixon as just being criminally underrated. So as you can see here, now it's getting a little bit interesting because we're getting a little bit further into the draft, and those next tier of quarterbacks still have not gotten taken. So it's, do I want to go two more positional players, or do I want to snag my second quarterback? That's what you have to think about. For me right now, it's very tough not to just grab Anthony Richardson. And if he is a great fantasy quarterback, I probably win the league just based off my first 6 picks, as long as everyone stays healthy, yada, yada, yada. So I want to look around and see, are there any running backs that I love? I do like James Conner in any form of PPR. I think he's going to be really good. Wide receivers here, I don't necessarily love any of these guys too much. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Anthony Richardson and build Josh Allen, Anthony Richardson, and that may be one of the best quarterback rooms in a SUPERFLEX if Anthony Richardson can kind of work out. Also, Anthony Richardson, underdog decided to put a little over-under a half a yard in his last game, and he didn't even play. So, not saying underdog knew. They ended up, I think, either refunding or calling all of those winners, but that's a rough look for underdog to basically look like you were kind of ripping people off with that pick. Yeah, for me, this one's super easy. If this was any form of a keeper league, I would go JSN just because he's probably going in the top 3 or 4 rounds next year. But for right now, I'm going to grab James Conner and just play it just for this year as it's a strict rebuild or redraft. Sorry. So Josh Allen and Anthony Richardson. We got Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Calvin Ridley, Garrett Wilson. So at this point, I feel really good about my running backs. I feel good about my quarterbacks. I do want to add one more quarterback play a little bit later on, whether that be a Kenny Pickett or something like that. I might have to go ahead and just snag Kenny Pickett in the 9th round, but I don't mind that because that's going to solidify what ends up being the most important role, because as soon as quarterbacks get injured and you're bringing in backups, that can just kill your team. So if you can draft 3 starting solid NFL quarterbacks, I feel a lot better about that. For right here, I need a wide receiver. I do like Deontay Johnson this year quite a bit, and I'm actually going to snag Deontay Johnson because I'm just going to stack him right up with Kenny Pickett. Okay, so this is the ADP game. I already have 2. I'd be okay with taking Kenny Pickett here and just locking down 3 quarterbacks. But I also really like some of these other wide receivers here. We obviously got the rookies, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, second-year Jahan Dotson, some other guys, Gabe Davis, who might actually be able to break out this year. Obviously, we have the tight ends. We still have not drafted tight end yet. But in Superflex or 2 quarterback, it's very difficult in my mind to spend multiple picks on quarterbacks and still build the wide receiver and running back core that you need to be good for a season. And then also go, early-ish tight end. Like at this point, I probably could, but I do think Jordan Addison. I don't love Jordan Addison if you're going to take him early enough in drafts where you have to play him right away, but give him a couple weeks on the bench, let him get used to the Minnesota offense, in real speed and real time, and I think that it'll be a great season for him. So obviously this run of quarterbacks coming straight off the board kind of just rips away the opportunity to get 3 solid ones, in my opinion, just because it's tough because at this point you're kind of pot committed to just rolling with Anthony Richardson and Josh Allen. I could grab myself a Brock or a Sam Howell here and play them week 1. But if I'm going to do that, if I'm going down to that level of quarterback, I'd rather just go with the unproven asset in Anthony Richardson. So I don't necessarily love adding another quarterback at this point. Now, if one of Matthew Stafford, Kenny Pickett, I'd maybe even throw Jordan Love in that conversation, fell back to this pick, I probably would just go ahead and grab 3 of them. But for now, let's just grab some more players that we like. I really like Zay Flowers. I really like Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert should not be going this far. He should never get drafted after Jameson Williams. So we'll snag Khalil Herbert. That's going to lock down our running backs completely now. We have 4 solid running backs that I am very happy with. Zay Flowers. So the quarterbacks still made their way back around. Okay, let's see here. Win Khalil Herbert. Just go and grab me a lot. I'll grab Elijah Moore late in drafts. I don't mind that draft pick at all. And then let's just see. I'm curious when Brock Purdy, Sam Howell, Jimmy G, Mac Jones fell off. Because if they get back around to the 12-10 and a Brock Purdy or Sam Howell still available, I'll snag them up just for depth at that point at the position. Yeah, all day. Give me Brock Purdy. I think that he's going to be the week 1 starter in San Francisco. For some reason, Sam Darnold takes over that job. You should still be able to get him. And then my favorite last round pick right now is Rashee Rice. I think that just based on what I've heard out of Chiefs camp, I think he is most likely going to be the not number 1, but I think he is going to be used more than people are expecting, and maybe even more than Sky Moore this year. I guess we kind of screwed up. We didn't draft a tight end. Don't love that. I don't love that. Usually you want to at least grab somebody, because if Irv Smith came off the board already and Gerald Everett came off the board, we are looking rough at the tight end position. But that's where trades come in. That's where trades can come in. I don't necessarily value the tight end position when we get down past Njoku and Freiermuth. Basically, anybody below that point's a crapshoot, so I'm not going to be too upset about not snagging one in the draft, especially if I feel like I get this much depth at other positions. So, quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Anthony Richardson, Brock Purdy, I think I'd be pretty happy with that. Running backs, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Khalil Herbert, I love that. Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison, Elijah Moore, and Rashee Rice. And then again, no tight end. It is what it is. I'm pretty happy with this draft. Let's go ahead and fire up another one. Should come back in here with the same settings. Do I have to just do it in here? There we go. 2 QB, 12 team. All right, perfect. Oh, I shouldn't be talking for anything for 5 minutes, but just in case that I want to get on a tangent and don't want to get auto-selected. All right. We're going to go Team 8 this time. Team 8 last time had Justin Fields fall to him. If Justin Fields falls to me at number 8, I will take that every single time, especially if you're in a league where quarterbacks just get ripped off the board like this. So let's see what happens. Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar Jackson. So you still are making a tough decision here. There's no other positional players taken off the board yet. So personally, I'm going to take Justin Fields there probably every single time. I think that he could be a little bit of a cheat code this year for fantasy football. But just for the sake of maybe switching some things up, let's grab a round 2 quarterback maybe. Maybe I think I'm going to do that actually with my next one. So we're going to grab Justin Fields. We're going to go Justin Fields, and maybe we won't grab into that Anthony Richardson tier this time. Maybe we'll wait until we get someone a little bit past that point. So at this point, so much talent still on the board. Saquon, Nick Chubb, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. All kinds of players that you can add and be pretty comfortable with. I haven't done it too many of these mock drafts. I'm going to go Bijan. I've been rising a little bit on Bijan compared to where I've had him versus consensus, I guess you could say. Personally, if I'm in a draft staring down that decision, I'm probably going Nick Chubb just about every single time, just based on what I personally think of the player. But that, again, is just my personal preference. Okay. Let's go. We're going to go Chris Olave here, because he is my favorite wide receiver left on the board. I guess Breece Hall, Ramondre, Najee. I don't necessarily love any of those guys nearly as much as I love Chris Olave this year, so we'll grab him. Deshaun and Dak off the board. I'm assuming Tua is going here to Team 10. Yep. I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on grabbing another quarterback. Oh, this is a little risky because we're just going all rookie here with the running backs, but I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs. Absolutely. I don't need to go into all of the first round rookie running backs that have outperformed their ADP. I think the only one that's underperformed is basically CMC over like the last, I don't know, 8-10 years or something like that. So I will take Jahmyr Gibbs there every single time. Swinging back around to me, we're kind of in this little tier of quarterback. I'm okay with waiting. I'll wait until to see maybe if someone that I really like falls back around to the sixth. Okay, running backs, J.K. Miles. God, I love me some Miles Sanders. Jerry Judy, DJ Moore. Let's see if we go down here. He's going to need a running back. He's going to need a running back, potentially two of them. This is tough. Personally, I love Miles Sanders. I mean, Miles Sanders is one of my favorite players for fantasy football this season. And I also love DJ Moore, especially since I'd be able to stack him with Justin Fields in the SUPERFLEX. So because of the stack and because I already have two running backs, I'm going to go DJ Moore, hoping Miles Sanders finds his way back around to me. Again, don't think it's going to happen. Yep, there it is. That would have been a pipe dream. It would have been awesome. Okay. Has anyone taken two quarterbacks yet? No one's taken two quarterbacks. I could grab Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones. I grabbed AR-15 the last time. I'm not going to grab him again. I personally like Christian Watson, but I've drafted him quite a bit. I've talked enough about him. Ooh, Darren Waller. I don't think I've really mocked Darren Waller very much at all, so let's see what my team looks like with him. Obviously, if you're thinking of how the Darren Waller that's completely getting hyped up right now, you're going to think that's going to be a great pick and you're going to like the way your roster turns out. If you think Darren Waller is, odds are there's a chance he gets injured or banged up at any point in the season, that pick becomes a little bit more iffy, which is just, it's what you get with Darren Waller at this point. Okay. Mike Williams, Javonte Williams, Hollywood Brown, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco. James Cook already go off the board. I always like looking at his ADP. He's one of my favorite guys to pick. Well, he's pretty far down there still. Wow. We'll shoot for upside with this pick. We'll go Javonte Williams. Personally, I probably wouldn't draft him too many times. Maybe just in one league or something. Just because if he does, have a great season, to be fun to be a part of it. But yep, I'm not going to let this pass by me here. I'm snagging Jared Goff. I'll lock up Justin Fields and Jared Goff all day. Jared Goff, most of his games are going to be in a dome, obviously playing in Detroit. Then the away games at Minnesota. Obviously, the games in Green Bay and in Chicago. If it's cold, you don't necessarily love him as your starting quarterback. But there's going to be enough positive weeks. You're going to be pretty happy with Jared Goff. So I'm going to snag him there. I think that's a pretty good value. Again, I don't mean to be brash or quick with these, but pretty easy for me. I'm looking at these wide receivers. I think Jahan Dotson showed me a lot last year, especially down the stretch that I liked. I wouldn't mind Quentin Johnston. I don't mind Gabe Davis. I don't mind Zay Flowers. But I think Jahan Dotson, as we sit here today, is probably my favorite wide receiver still left on the board. So we're going to snag him up. Let's see what our roster's looking like. Okay. Basically just 4 bench spots we're going to fill in. Kyler Murray and Kenny Pickett went off the board. Okay. I didn't think he was really going to fall back around to me, but I'll snag Zay Flowers again in this draft. I like Zay Flowers quite a bit this year. I think he is going to end up being Baltimore's wide receiver 1 by week 5, week 6, and it's going to be pretty evident. We'll see if Bateman can stay healthy, I think is their biggest concern. I don't think OBJ is staying healthy. I don't think he should be picked in fantasy football. He may have a week, a game, something, a stretch where he looks to be extremely good again. I'm okay passing on him. Uh, so here, let's just go upside guys. Devon A-Chain's an upside guy. Bateman is an upside guy, but I already got Flowers. Sky Moore's an upside guy. Tank Bigsby's an upside guy. So we'll just go top. I think I'm going to want to add Tank Bigsby later, actually. So we'll go. I guess we'll add Sky. I don't even want to add Sky Moore here, if I'm being honest. I don't want to go quarterback just because I know I'm probably going to be able to get one later on. At this point in drafts, actually, this is a great draft advice spot. Just draft whoever you like. Don't worry about his ADP is 2 rounds later. All these players are going to be probably dropped and re-added at some point throughout the season, unless they just break out from week 1. So I'll snag Tank Bigsby. He's been getting a lot of hype. He's a great backup running back to add to this roster. If ETN goes down or if his role expands, he immediately becomes a fantasy asset. So I like Tank Bigsby quite a bit. Let's swap back over to the wide receivers. I'm just going to go ahead and grab myself Sky Moore. I'm fine with that. Like I said, Rashid Rice, Sky Moore. I mean, you got to take the shot on one of the two, unless you're a Justin Ross believer or something like that. So I'll grab him there. And then Dobbs, Miller. See, basically no quarterbacks get taken off. Like in any SUPERFLEX league, these quarterbacks are going to be gone by the end of the draft. There's no way you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 starting quarterbacks not being rostered. So I'll grab a third one just because if this is the case, you should always grab a third one anyway, depending on how quickly your team drafts them. And probably a little bit of an underrated pick. I'm going to go Ryan Tannehill, getting absolutely no love for I don't know why he's not getting any love. Obviously, with D-Hop there, he's going to have a true number 1 wide receiver, which basically allows Ryan Tannehill to be fantasy relevant. We look at what he was when he had A.J. Brown. He had multiple weeks where he was a good quarterback for fantasy football. That's basically what I am shooting for here. All right. So let's go through this one. See how we like this. We got Justin Fields, Jared Goff, Ryan Tannehill, Bijan, Jameer, Javonte Williams, Tank Bigsby. 3 rookie running backs. I didn't even plan or even think about that when I was taking Tank Bigsby. But I'll take Bijan. I'll take Gibbs. Any draft that I think that I'm getting a value on them. And then Bigsby's late. So if you want to criticize that pick in the comments, please do. Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Jahan Dotson, Zay Flowers, Sky Moore, all young breakout potential wide receivers. Love that. And then Darren Waller is our tight end. If Darren Waller can get back into that Kelsey Andrews tier, this is a league-winning roster. If Fields can maintain what he did last year, it's a great-looking roster. We do need our rookie running backs to be good, but odds are they will be just based on history. So that wraps up number 2. Let's get into number 3 real quick. And again, first 2, we've kind of had a little bit of flexibility. We've been able to take an early quarterback, build the roster, and take a later quarterback as our QB2. We're not going to have that flexibility drafting from the 11th spot, so let's jump into it. Number 32. Again, if you made it this far, I just want to shout it out again. Look in the description. Check out the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube. Check out our short form on TikTok, Instagram, Reels. Also on stuff like Instagram, I basically just put any piece of fantasy relevant news in our story every single day. So like the information that came out this morning about Josh Jacobs, immediately in the story. Any breaking news, I'm going to immediately give an opinion on so that way we can just keep the content flowing. So make sure to check those out. We're going to go to the 11th spot. Again, let's just start it. Let's rip it off, see what happens. As we've already seen, basically, we know what the draft is going to look like here on Sleeper. I wish you could do some kind of settings to where, like, you could adjust to maybe for your league a little bit or something, but unfortunately you cannot. We did get Trevor Lawrence to fall to us here at the 11th spot, and I actually made a video saying don't draft Trevor Lawrence at his current ADP because he really doesn't have a rushing upside, so you're really betting on him being able to throw 40, 45 touchdowns. If that is the case, wonderful. If he goes and has another 30, 32, 34 touchdown season, he's not going to be what you want for fantasy football. So I'm not going to take him here just because we've already taken two early quarterbacks. So I'm basically going to not punt on quarterback, but avoid it here on the 1-2 turn and see how we can build our team. We're going to grab Jamar Chase, and we're going to turn right back around and grab Tyreek Hill and immediately have one of the best wide receiving cores probably in this league. Jefferson, Stephon Diggs is going to be pretty close. But Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, I would be very happy with that in any league, even Superflex, if those were my two wide receivers. Obviously, I'm sure we have some Cooper Kupp love out there as well. If you want him over Hill or Chase, I wouldn't necessarily agree with you with the hamstring and the Ram outlook, but I do understand it. So the guy at 12 already took a quarterback. Just I know the way the AI drafts are not going to take one here on the 3-4 turn. We're going to get two at the 4 spot. I'm perfectly fine. Very happy with that. But Brees Hall, Ramondre, Najee. Not my favorite class tier of running back. There's obviously some. I may actually just punt, go 0 running back on this draft, and just grab. Devonta Smith along with Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase. I now have officially passed Team 7 as having the best wide receiving core. And then we'll grab Tua to stack with Tyreek Hill. Absolutely love that for being our QB1 in the 4th round. Tua, I'm okay with it. Again, if your league is filled with people that are going to want to fill those quarterback spots, you probably can't wait for the 4th round for a Tua. Otherwise, you're going to end up with like a Daniel Jones or something like that. So, all right. Wrapping back around. Okay. I can already tell you right now, I'm grabbing Miles Sanders in the 6th. There's no way the guy who has Eckler and Najee is going to grab Miles Sanders, especially just based on the ADP. I don't need to grab another wide receiver right now. Actually, I'm not even going to let it even potentially happen. Give me Miles Sanders. They did take J.K. Dobbins, so there would be a chance that they maybe would have taken Miles Sanders over J.K. Dobbins. I'm glad of that. If that would have happened, I probably would have just deleted this video. Also, if you haven't seen, I guess I'm going to be promoting this in the fantasy football today discussion, or fantasy football discussion. Check out my short form content on Miles Sanders. I think he is completely slept on right now. I think if you can get him at the 5-6 turn in Superflex, if you can get him in the 4th, 5th round and regular redraft, it's going to be a steal. It's going to be a 3-down running back in the Frank Reich offense. They've already said multiple times they want him to be a pass catching option for them as well. Young quarterbacks love passing to the running back. It's easy completions for them. He's going to be a monster this year for fantasy football, especially in any PPR format. I know he's not the biggest, most dominant running back. He's not going to give you the Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb dominance, but he's going to get enough work in the Frank Reich offense to be amazing for fantasy football. Okay. Now, this is where if I had one of those top 6, 7 guys, I'm okay with avoiding grabbing a second quarterback. Where I'm currently sitting at now, I do not feel as comfortable with that. I want another proven commodity to be my QB2. Now, there's 2 good options here. I'd say there's 2 options here. Aaron Rodgers and Geno Smith. It really depends on personal preference. I think both of them are very, very similar situations. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers has proven it over years to be the better long-term quarterback, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get into that discussion. But Geno Smith looked really good last year. And if you're drafting Geno as your QB2 and he duplicates what he did last year, you're going to be ecstatic with the pick. They've added more weapons. They should be a little bit of a better team as well. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Geno over Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that's just my personal disdain for Aaron Rodgers coming through. Oh, well. So we've locked up Tua and Geno. We'll see what ends up coming back around to us. But, if an Anthony Richardson actually falls all the way back around, I'm Derek Carr. What in the world? Yeah, this is just dumb. Anthony Richardson should not be going after. Personally, the way I look at this, actually, I should have went Anthony Richardson and then grabbed a third quarterback right away. I'm lucky he came back around to me, but I'm going to take him there all day. There's a chance between Tua, Anthony Richardson, and Geno Smith. I have 3 very solid quarterbacks. And again, in Superflex, you want to have some depth at that position. If there's an injury to Tua, if Tua gets a concussion, he's probably out for, multiple weeks to a month immediately. Geno Smith has always been inconsistent. We'll see if he can keep it going where he was last year. But even down the stretch, he kind of showed those inconsistencies coming back. And then Anthony Richardson, just a complete wild card. So This quarterback room is a little bit more wild, if you want to put it that way, but I think it can pan out. Um, okay, I need a proven commodity to be my running back two, but I'm going to actually wait and see if I can get James Cook in the ninth round. I don't think you should be able to, but if he falls back around there, I will take him there all day. Tight ends, don't love the tight ends. If we're not grabbing a quarterback, we'll grab Alvin here. It's going to be a three-game suspension. I don't love drafting Alvin Kamara and having to hold him, but especially with the Kendre Miller injury, and then the only other running back that you're really concerned about being Jamal Williams, I'm okay with grabbing him where he's currently at. Okay. Beautiful. Oh, James Cook did get. Oh, dang it. Okay. Well, again, he shouldn't be here. We'll grab Khalil Herbert while he's still on the board, but again, in your drafts, Khalil Herbert's most likely going much higher than this. And then running or another wide receiver. See, we've already gotten to that past the point of basically no return at tight end. I'll draft one this time just so that way I don't go two drafts without drafting one, but almost could not care less about who my tight end ends up being. Quentin Johnson, I like quite a bit. Obviously, I've drafted Zay Flowers a couple times already. Let's go Quentin Johnson just to change it up. But rookie wide receivers in these late rounds, if they're there, pick them up. Gabe Davis was another guy I was considering. Like going a Juju. Again, I know the other guys are off the board, but there's going to be in a league somewhere where someone takes a Mike Thomas or a Juju or someone like that over a rookie wide receiver. It's how you lose fantasy. You're buying floor guys instead of ceiling guys, and when you're this late, I don't want a Juju Smith-Schuster who can consistently give me 7 to 12 fantasy points. I want a guy like Quentin Johnston who could be a guy who's putting up 18 fantasy points a week if he just truly breaks out into what people think he can be. All right, let's see who's available. Higbee, Laporta, Everett. I almost just want to wait for Irv Smith because all those guys suck. All right, we've already drafted some late round running backs. We've drafted some round receivers. Let's see. Let's switch it up. We go Darnell Mooney. Why not? I don't necessarily love drafting Darnell Mooney, but it's just someone different to throw into the mix here. If you think Justin Fields is going to take a next step forward, you should be drafting Darnell Mooney as well. And then here, we already got Bigsby. Algiers an option. Damian Harris will never be drafted in my teams. Zeke. That's a floor guy. You're drafting a floor guy with Zeke. Let's not do that. Oh, it's both of the Miami guys all the way down here? I guess Mostert already went. ADP 157. 172. Okay. I mean, I'll grab Mostert, I guess, to use the higher ADP. But either Miami running back, I don't even know how I missed out through the first two. Any Miami running back, either Miami running back between Mostert and Wilson need to be added in every single draft. And if you've already drafted, make sure one of them aren't sitting out on waiver wires. All righty. Falling all the way back around, let's just grab Irv Smith. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It is what it is. Again, tight end position in Superflex for me is just kind of an afterthought unless I get myself one of those top quarterbacks. And then I feel like I have a little bit more flexibility with my QB2. I may go an earlier tight end, but if I end up with Tua and Geno Smith and Anthony Richardson, that's 3 middle round draft picks I had to blow on quarterbacks. I'm not adding a fourth one to blow on a tight end. So this team, Tua, Geno, Anthony Richardson, Miles Sanders, Kamara, Herbert, Mostert. Probably my weakest running back room by quite a big margin. But again, I'm very high on Miles Sanders. If I go 0 RB, I'm perfectly fine with adding him as my RB1. Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Devonta Smith, Quentin Johnston, Darnell Mooney. I love the wide receiving core. And obviously Irv Smith as my. Oh, we got a lot of Smiths. Irv Smith, Geno Smith, Devontae Smith. Dinner with the Smiths, or whatever movie reference I'm trying to think of. Something with Smith. But that'll be it. That'll wrap up our draft here. Again, this was 3 Superflex drafts. If you came from the fantasy football discussions and you stayed through the whole thing, appreciate you. I'm glad that you liked the content. Glad that I was entertaining enough to keep you through 3 mock drafts. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to go check out the short form content in the description. And yeah, if you see us posting in the fantasy football discussions page and you like our content, give us a like in there. Give us a comment. We'll do plenty of interactive stuff within that group that we'll bring up on the podcast as well. So that's it. I'm going to wrap up the mock drafts. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a good rest of your day. We will be back with more mock drafts and a rookie report on running backs tomorrow. Peace out.